Good morning. My name is Master Gunnery Sergeant Foshi. I'm the Chief Marine Corps Drill Instructor of Navy OCS. Welcome to a behind-the-scenes look of Naval Officer Candidate School, Pensacola, Florida.
0! First squad allows the fourth, second squad allows the third squad, and first squad allows the second. Do you understand that? Yes, sir! Hey, up, front! Hey, up, front! Hey, up! 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
The mission of the Navy: prompt, sustained combat operations at sea and on land in support of national policy. What we do, we take young men and women, civilians and prior enlisted, develop them morally, mentally, and physically, and imbue them with the highest deals of honor, courage, and commitment for naval service. The goal is to prepare a newly commissioned officer for service in a leadership position.
You align to the member closer to fourth squad than you are. Do you understand that? Yes, sir!
There are 3 phases in OCS: the indoctrination phase, the officer candidate phase, and then the candidate officer phase. Indoctrination phase is the first week, and that's when they're in their green outfits and called indoctrination candidates, finally called poopies. And that's when they're in their chrome domes, and they're first learning everything they need to learn to begin.
This is your family. What is this?
My first week at Ulster Candidate School was interesting, to say the least. It definitely was not what I expected. It was definitely kind of a shock. I relied a lot of my prior military training to basically bring the other candidates together as a team, because essentially you have individuals from around the country, most just out of college, some are young kids, what I consider kids now, but young adults.
A lot of us come from college where there's a lot of downtime and there's a lot of free time where you have time to yourself, and you come here and we spend a lot of hours every day going from one thing to the next. We are, basically we're running straight from 5 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, and that's one of the most difficult things to get used to, just in terms of the environment.
The first week is, I guess you could call it culture shock. It's an eye-opener.
I was under the impression that we would come here and in the mornings we'd do a few push-ups and sit-ups. We'd go jogging for about 2 or 3 miles, and then we go to classes all during the day. So it hasn't been that way. It's been a lot more difficult than I anticipated.
You'll maintain alignment at all costs. Do you understand that? Yes, sir! Your job is not distant. Do you understand that? Yes, sir!
And I can say it's now, maybe 2 weeks ago I would have said it, but it's a rewarding challenge.
They don't have any real teamwork experience, they don't have any military experience, they don't know what to expect. All they know is they got some guy yelling at them, and what do I do to get this guy to stop yelling at me? So they relied on the prior enlisted men to really the rear them, bring them along and get them back online and make the team stronger.
This is one of the most challenging things I've ever done. I like it in the fact that I know it's going to make me a better officer and a better person. I appreciate it, but I don't like it. It's a challenge. It's difficult days sometimes.
A good officer is somebody who puts his men or women before themselves. The unselfishness, that's what makes a good leader. A good candidate has to be a good follower before they're a good leader.
Left, left, right, left, forward.
Without the Marines here at OCS, OCS wouldn't be OCS. The Marines bring militarization, they bring discipline, they bring that camaraderie that no other service provides. And the students learn immensely from them.
This is something. Camp! You mean to tell me after all this time you can't put a cover on your head before you get out of the veranda? No!
Sometimes it seems like they're being mean and they're singling you out and they're just trying to pick on you, but that's not true. It's just part of the training, and I know my drill instructor is trying to make me a better candidate and eventually a better officer.
There's a love-hate relationship in the beginning, and by the end of the 12-week period, the Marines are loved by the students.
I think that the relationship that we have with our drill instructors, some might describe as a love-hate relationship, but in my opinion, bringing the drill instructors here was the best decision that the Navy's ever made.
Left, right, slow, and down.
I'd say from the very beginning, probably about week 2 or week 3, they understand the idea and the concept of teamwork, because they realize that if whatever they do as far as making a mistake, that it's felt not just by themselves, that's felt throughout the class, and that's where the class structures come in.
No individuality. You function as a team. So if one individual of the team messes up, then the team is responsible for getting that individual in line.
I would say teamwork is one of the most important things that we learn here. We learn that individual success really takes a backseat to team success.
The entire program is revolved around teamwork and discipline.
Then they get into the officer candidate phase, and they go into their academics, they get into their militarization and learn all the academics that they need to learn: navigation, seamanship, division officer, their naval leadership that they need to learn.
First thing that happened, we have a primary inspector and a secondary inspector. The secondary inspector, first thing he does is come out and he check the formation to make sure the paces between the ranks are correct. And during the inspection, the index finger here have to touch the cover, and they should be looking in the palm of their hand, like so. This ruler is for measurements, 1/4 inch on the name tag. We got it marked here, so you just stick it up there and make sure it's 1/4 inch above the pocket, and the 1.5 inches. It's on your insignia to make sure it's 1.5 inches, and 2 inches back from the front up the cover, like so.
The victory run is the culmination at the end of all of their graded academic events before they go into candidate officer phase. So it's kind of the woohoo, we're done with the major graded portions. So that is the victory run. We run with the national ensign, the flag, the American flag, the Navy flag, and the Marine Corps flag, and we run as a formation. We run through the base, about a 3-mile course, and that's the whole regiment, and all the staff goes, and then they come back and have a little ceremony where they are awarded whatever awards they've gotten for either PT excellence or academic excellence or military excellence or what's called the Snowflake Award, and they've been excellent in all 3 categories. And then the last 3 weeks of OCS are their candidate officer phase, and that's where they become kind of the junior staff, and they're pretty much running the regiment and the battalions. As far as what we want from them when they leave here is honor, courage, and commitment, the Navy core values. We want them to lead from the front, set the example. They're out there to be the examples. They're ambassadors for the Navy no matter where they go. As long as they're in the Navy, they're ambassadors for the Navy. And that we want them to set that example so their sailors look at them and go, that's who I want to be. I want to be an officer.
Class 0207, raise your right hands and repeat after me. I state your name.
I have been appointed in the United States Navy to accept such appointment and do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
The first salute after commissioning, the ensign, first enlisted person that he meets, salutes and gives a silver salute. And with our staff, it's always the class chief and the class drill instructor.
It's kind of amazing. We kind of joke and say we have little balls of clay that walk in the door, and we mold them into ensigns and send them on their way at the end of 12 weeks.
I feel great. It's amazing to finally be at this point. So.
It was tough. It was a challenge both mentally and physically, and now that it's done, I'm just very proud that I made it through.
And now you know what it takes to be an officer and a gentleman.
Class 0207, dismissed!